Good. White's good. You can't see my pits. That's a fun industry fact. Wear black shirts at work because then you can't see your pits. Learned that the hard way because I had a blue shirt once. Carrying a tray to the table and you're like, uh-oh. Yeah. Weird. All right. In between my serving jobs, legitimately actually, there was a year that I took off of serving. And part of that year, I did home security sales. If you know anything about sales, it sucks. You have to be a very certain type of person, and I'm kind of like that person, but I'm a lot better if you come in and sit with me first. I'm not very good at going and tracking you down because I'll just be like, yeah, whatever. So I sold home security sales. I go door knocking. I'm like, I'm like Kevin Kennedy's here. So I'd get a lead list of qualified people instead of just wasting time going door to door. And there's people that just bought a home, and if they just bought a house, they're qualified and they need my service for home security, right? So after a couple months of doing that, then one day I was just like, man, I really don't feel like going and knocking on this door. So then I figured out if I go have a gin and tonic, get a little loosey-goosey, a lot easier to talk to people. And then I start talking, knocking on doors. So I'd have a gin and tonic, I'd go out. Our manager always told us, shoot for 25 houses. Because you're going to miss some people, they're not going to be home. You're going to get doors slammed in your face because everybody hates door-to-door salespeople. But if you shoot for 25, then you'll get 2 sales. Then you make a lot of money. So you had to play the numbers game. So to make a sale, I'd have to go through like 10 or 12 different door knocks before I can have the opportunity to make a sale. Set an appointment or get in someone's house. And then I had to close the deal, which I was pretty good at closing deals once I got in there and you're qualified. So food service industry is what we're going to talk about today and why it's so unique, because it's kind of like you are running your own business, or you're getting paid commission, or you're a contractor being contracted out to provide a service. But it's still unique and different in all those ways, and that's what we're going to break down today. How you don't have to go out and find leads. They come to you, and they're qualified hot buyers, and it's a very good industry. And this is why I quit my big boy job with benefits and salary to come back. And this is why people who leave end up coming back, because it's such a good industry. Or there's people that like part-time, like they go get their big boy job, big girl job, and they still work on the weekends as a bartender or a server, because it's such a good industry. It's so hard to get out. So many people I know love this industry, especially if you grew up in it, which it was like half of the Americans grew up. One of their first jobs was food service industry, whether it's a host, busser, some in the back. My first job was at Papa Murphy's making pizzas when I was 14. I had to get a work permit. Couldn't work past 7 on a school night. It was awesome. I also couldn't use a knife because I was 14 and their insurance wouldn't cover me till I was 16. She wanted to make me a manager, but she's like, we have to wait till you can legally use a knife. I was like, well, that's fair, I guess. It's such a good industry, and there's so many people that grow up in this industry. Then you go get your degree, and you go get your big boy, big girl job, and then you hang on, you keep one foot in there, and you work on the weekends, or you pick up shifts, and then sometimes you come all the way back in, because as you go out and you get a big boy, big girl job at an office, then you find out there's an HR department. What the hell is an HR department? People in the food service industry don't really know what that is. I like to say you're about as useless as an HR department for a restaurant, because it almost doesn't exist. What's up, guys? It's Kevin Kennedy, six-figure server. Today I want to talk about not only the state of the industry pre-COVID, which I honestly think it's going to bounce back and it's going to be stronger. I think it's like a wildfire, and unfortunately it's going through and it's burning up some of these smaller businesses that inevitably were just going to be burned up anyways. It just accelerated that. But at the same time, that creates great opportunity for new restaurants to come in. So I honestly think that it's going to make Fortunately, the weak weaker, but the strong stronger. But now there's an opportunity for a whole nother set of restaurants to come in. It's going to build it up. I think we're going to come out of this. We're going to bounce back quickly, and we're going to bounce back even stronger. So I just want to share some numbers. I want to share the opportunity that we have in the food service industry, especially as servers and bartenders. I was looking at these numbers and I started getting butterflies because this is exactly why I quit my job to come back to serving. There's so much opportunity here. And I just want to put it in perspective for you because I don't think there's a whole lot of places that do that. It was really hard to find these numbers, and it's really hard to translate these numbers into something useful. So that's what I want to dig into. So there's this awesome thing called BLS.gov. It's the Bureau of Labor Statistics. That's where I get a lot of my information from. All this is public. You can even look at our website on our blog. We're going to have this listed so you can go look at these numbers for yourself. So if we look at the customer expenditure report for 2019, this is basically a report that breaks down how people spend their money. And if we look at it, food service is 13% of what people spend their money on in 2019. And that is the third biggest expenditure, right behind housing, which makes sense if you're paying for a house, and transportation if you're paying for a car and car repairs. Food is the third one. Everybody needs to eat. Food service is not going anywhere. People want experiences. Yes, deliveries and to-goes are up, especially in 2020 and 2021. But people still crave the experience of going out and the socializing and sitting at a bar top and just drinking a beer and talking with people around you and talking with the bartender. That's never going to go away. That's human nature. That's why I hate these little tablets that are on some of these chain restaurants where you can put your order in and now the server becomes a glorified food server and an ID checker. I hate that. I always put it down because I don't go there to get the food. I go there for the experience. I'll get the food to go. This is never going to go away. So even in the old times when bars were like just starting out in Ireland and Scotland, they had servers. They wanted to go out for that experience. This is never going to go away. It's human nature. You cannot replace a server with technology. You can enhance the server with technology and give them a tablet and let them run cards right at the table, all that stuff. You can enhance it, but I wholeheartedly believe that you cannot replace servers. Food delivery, that's all going to go up, and it's great because it's more sales for the restaurant. But servers and service and guest experience is never going away. In fact, they're estimating an average in the U.S. that server positions and bartender positions are going to increase over the next 10 years by 4 to 5%. That's another 500,000 serving positions. That's after there's turnover and everything. That's additional 500,000 server positions. In the next 10 years, that's projected. So in that report, they actually break down food at home and groceries and away from home food and alcohol sales. Since 2017, the away from home food has increased almost 5% in 3 to 4 years. People are now craving going out, and we're seeing this a lot with millennials and Gen Zs, because that's just their generation. They just want to go out and be around people, want to be social. After I've been stuck at home for a year, I hate going out and I don't want to talk to anybody. That's why we're doing this in my basement. I'm just kidding. I still love people. That's another reason why I love serving, is because that's my social hour. That's my social time. I get to go out and be social. I get to be on, and then I can come home and rest. So National Restaurant Association has a State of the Industry report for 2020, which is talking about 2019 numbers. In 2019, in the restaurant industry, there was $899 billion in sales. Now that's with fast food and everything. And I broke it down, and just in full service sit down restaurants, not quick service restaurants, full service restaurants and pubs and bars, there was $322.8 billion in sales just in 2019. So $322.8 billion in sales in 2019. Over the next 10 years, they're expecting to add 1.6 million new jobs to the food service industry, front and back of house. But it's growing. I think it's projected to be 17.4 or 17.6 million jobs in 10 years. Right now we're at 15.4 million food service working jobs, front and back of house. That's about 10% of the workforce that's currently working. They're working in food service. This industry is never going away. The human crave for experience is never going away. It's only going to get stronger. $322.8 billion in sales last year just in the U.S. The average tip percentage in the U.S. is 18.8%. You do that math, there's $60.7 billion that were tipped last year in 2019. That's the opportunity that we have as servers and bartenders is $60.7 billion. We get a cut of that. Now we got to decide how we get a cut of that. How much do you want? Do you want to just survive and go get the minimal, get 10 to 15% cut of that? Or do you want to thrive and get 35%? That's what I want. That's my mindset as a six-figure server, is how can I get my big piece of that $60.7 billion in tips just in the U.S. That's going to go up this year. That's going to go up next year. It's going to go up in the next 10 years. This is why I quit my big boy job to come back to serving. The opportunity is astounding. You just have to know how to serve. You have to know how to take advantage of it. And that's exactly why we're sitting in my basement filming right now. I want to show you guys how to grasp this and get the opportunity to get the most out of that $60.7 billion tip pool. Okay, so along with that state of the industry, the other cool things about being a server is you basically get a commission. You're basically commissioned by the restaurant as a contractor, more or less. If you look at other industries, you're technically a contractor for the restaurant to provide a service for them, but you get a W-2. You don't have to do all your own taxes. You get a paycheck. And if you understand anything about business, that makes sense to you. But you're a paid employee, but you act like a commissioned salesperson because the tips are my commission. And the better performance that I give, the better experience that I provide, and the more I sell to you, the more money I make, and that's my commission of it. Are there going to be outliers? Absolutely. Have I been stiffed before? Absolutely. Does it happen often to me? No. A couple times in 10 years have I been stiffed. Rarely does it happen to me. Does it happen to a lot of my coworkers? Yeah. They don't have the same mindset as me. And it hurts. I hate when they complain about that because I want everybody in the food service industry to succeed with this. There's such a great opportunity. You do not have to go knocking on doors to make money. I told you that story at the beginning because I had to go knock on 25 doors more or less to make 2 sales. When you have your section, people are choosing you. As soon as they walk through the door, they've made a sale decision, a purchase decision. The sale's already done as soon as they get to your table. Is somebody going to come sit down at your table and not be able to afford it? Probably not. Most people that are sitting at your table are qualified buyers, is what we call them. They're qualified. They have the money. They know what they're getting themselves into. It doesn't matter if you work at Denny's or if you work at a 5-star high-end restaurant that's $500 average ticket. Whoever is going there knows how much money it costs. Over the last week, I had a lot of different conversations, and 3 of them were all, somebody brought this up. You know what the first thing that a guy does when they look at the menu? When they sit down, they always look for the most expensive thing to make sure that they can afford it. Nowadays, I can just Google, and I still do that. I Google the restaurant, I go look at the menu, and Google even gives you, and Yelp, they give you the little dollar sign so you can tell how expensive it is just by glancing at it. People know what they're walking into. They're hot buyers. They're qualified buyers. By the time they hit your table, they're hungry. They want what you have. And you get to give them a fantastic experience. Are they going to be happy and satisfied if you do the bare minimum? Probably, because that's kind of the way the industry is. A bunch of unconscious servers serving. That's what people are used to. So what happens if you have a hot buyer, qualified buyer, the sale's already done? What happens if you have them sitting there and you exceed their expectations and you go above and beyond, something that they're not used to? How is that going to change their experience? That's why we're doing this. I want to show you how to get a piece of that $60.7 billion tip pool. I haven't sold cars, but I was close. I've been offered jobs, and a couple of these dealerships that offered me a job, There was one that you got, I think it was $130 for every car you sold. Flat rate. They're like, but the reason we do that is because we put the best price on the car and there's no negotiating or anything. So you get $130 every car you sell. That's it. I have no way of increasing that. The good news is I have no way of decreasing that. The bad news is it was straight commission. There was no flat rate. If I didn't sell a car for a week, I wouldn't get paid. If I sold a car every day, I would make $130 every day. You have to work your butt off for that. You have to go find people. Now, a lot of times at a dealership, they're going to come to you. Are they qualified buyers? Not necessarily. You have to run their credit. You have to make sure that they can actually pay for it, right? If they find a car that they like at your lot. There's a lot of work that goes into making that $130. How many days a week do we break $130 as a server in less than 5 or 6 hours? Depends on where you work, but often. Can you break a bill in 4 or 5 hours? Typically you can pretty easily. And if you worked at a car dealership, how much work would you have to do to break a bill? There's so much more work put into sales. And it's flat rate. It doesn't change. I can't sell you more. I can't go find a better car and sell it to you because I get a flat $130. So what's the incentive for me to sell? Just get the deal done. And that's their model. Now there's other dealerships that you get a percentage or a tiered base. And sometimes if you sell 5 or 6 or 10 cars that month, then your tier base goes up. And then you can earn more commission by selling more cars. So there's all these different ways to do it, but there's a lot of work that goes into selling a car and to making one sale. There's a lot of work for me to go and make one home security sale because I had to qualify the person. If I got into their house, I'd still have to qualify them. I'd still have to sell them, and that can take an hour or two. By the end of the night, I might walk away without a contract. There's nothing for certain. As a server, we make at least minimum wage. Not only are we getting hourly, a tip minimum wage hourly, but if we don't make enough tips to cover the national normal minimum wage or the state minimum wage, then they have to make up the difference. So as a server, my tip minimum wage in Colorado is $9.30, just changed over at 2021. I make $9.30 on top of all my tips an hour. So I make a base. If I only had 2 tables and I only make $10, I still get the hourly. Most commission jobs, you don't get a base. It's all strictly commission based. You only make on what you sell. Serving, we get a base, we make money, and then we make more money on what we sell. The great thing is too, if I don't make enough money while I'm working, and I get $9.30 an hour, but I don't make enough in tips to make the normal minimum wage, which is $12.32 an hour, then the restaurant has to supplement that. So not only do we get the base, but I also have the opportunity to increase my commission. I can increase your check, and even if my percentage stays the same and the check goes up, my percentage goes up. What you actually tip. Then I have the opportunity, on top of increasing the check, to increase my percentage by exceeding your expectations and going above and beyond something that you weren't expecting. There's so much opportunity to get a big chunk of that $60.7 billion tip pool. And that's why this is such a great industry, and that's why people come back to it. That's why I quit my big boy job. So I did this video because I want you to understand, I want you to shift your perception of the food service industry. I want you to see that there's tons of opportunity here. And it's not just an entry-level job. I'm a career server. I quit my big boy job to come back to serving because of the opportunity here. I can make a decent, really good living by being a server and a bartender. And I only do it for about half the time that I was doing working for my big boy job. I can make just as much money as my big boy job in half the time. So I want to challenge you to think about what is your perception right now of the food service industry. Did you know that? Did you know the opportunity that's there? Did you know that in 2019 there was $60.7 billion that were tipped out on top of the sales? That's what was tipped out. That's our opportunity. This is only going to get bigger. The projections are supposed to grow 4 to 6% over the next 10 years. We're adding jobs. The food service industry is getting bigger. I believe we're going to come out of COVID stronger, and we're going to bounce back quickly. There's such opportunity here, and I want to hear your feedback. I want to hear how you engage with that. Can you please comment below on that? I definitely want to hear your thoughts. I want to know if you knew about this. I want to know if this helps you shift your perception. But literally the entire reason why we started this company is because we want to shift the perception of food service. That's why we have the tagline, Rethink Serving. Because we want you to rethink serving. It's not just a little job. This can absolutely be a full-blown career. And for a lot of people it is. And for me it is. I want you to rethink serving, rethink the industry, follow us, hit the subscribe button because we're pulling out videos every week. Add us on Facebook, Six Figure Server, Instagram, at Six Figure Server. I'm at Six Figure Kevin. We have our beta coming out. Our app is about to be published into beta. And we have a waitlist right now at sixfigureserver.com, and it's pretty short. And it's grown every day. And so I really encourage you to get on that waitlist. Go request early access to join the beta because we want to show you through the performance-based coaching that we're coming out with in our app how you can maximize and get the chunk that you deserve out of that $60.7 billion tip pool. Go there right now, sixfigureserver.com, join the waitlist.